everyone, we're going to get diving into a few greetings and pleasantries you can use in basic conversation when you're signing. Before we get started, I am going to go over how to address the person that you're talking to and yourself when you're signing. I have seen people when they're talking, addressing to the person that they're talking to, will take an open hand and kind of push it out like you. That's not something that you want to do. It's not something typical. Sometimes it can come off as rude. What you're going to do instead is simply take your pointer finger and point at them for you. Be sure not to jab it out at them like you're sword fighting or something. You just want to keep everything nice in your own little personal space bubble. So, when you're addressing the person you're talking to, it will be you. And when you're addressing yourself, you just point at yourself for I or me or myself or something along those terms. Again, you're not going to do an open palm. You're not going to point with your thumb. You're just going to take your pointer finger and point right back at yourself. So you and I. One other thing I want to talk about before we get started is I talked in one of the other videos about how facial expression can come into play when signing. Remember, we talked about proper hand placement when you're using only one hand, making it sure it's at a level where you can watch the person's face and their hand at the same time, because expressions can be a huge part. We're going to see a little bit of that in this video, so just keep an eye out for that as well, and I'll let you know when that's happening. So to start off a conversation, this will be a basic conversation. You're meeting somebody new for the first time. So the first thing you want to do is say hello. Now, I have seen that it is an option to wave, kind of like this, but the most common thing I've seen people do is like a salute. So you'll do hello. So you see somebody new, and for the sake of argument, this person's name is going to be Alex, but we're going to get to that in a second. Right now, it's just some person you've never met before. So you say hello. And then the next thing you want to do is introduce yourself. So you're going to introduce yourself. My name, and then you use the finger spelling that we've done in our other videos to spell out your name. So my name, S-T-E-P-H. Because I have a long name, so I'm not going to spell the whole name. So I'm going to break that down just a little bit. My, you point to yourself like we talked about. Name is 2 fingers on each hand like this, and they come down in front of you and crisscross, just like this. Name, kind of like an X. My name. Then you spell out your name, S-T-E-P-H. And then it's very typical, because if you're talking to a group or more than one person, it's very typical that people, when they want to address you, they don't want to spell your whole name out every time. So you might invite that person, for me, sign S and just move it in a circle or something. And then they'll know from then on, if they want to address you in conversation, that they just sign like this. Particularly helpful in a classroom full of children. The classroom that I have currently is 7 students, so if I wanted to refer to 3 of them to say, let's say we're talking about dressing for the weather, and it's cold, and I want to point out the 3 students who wore pants. Well, I don't want to spell the entire names of those 3 students, so what I could do instead is say Billy, Kyle, and Larry. And it's a lot faster, it's a lot easier, and if you establish that ahead of time with everybody, then they'll all know that B shaking is Billy, K shaking is Kyle, and L shaking is Larry. So you tell them my name, you spell out your name, and then you say, but me is S, and shake it. So you've just introduced yourself, given them your name. Now you want to ask their name, and we know secretly, because this is practice, that their name is Alex. So you're going to ask for their name by saying your name, and then this is, I think, the sign for what, but sometimes it's just general, like, I don't know, here's my question. So you'll say your name and then shake the hands, and you give the confused look to show that you're asking a question, to show that you don't know what goes there. So your name, and then they'll tell you my name, Alex. Oops, that's not how you spell Alex. Alex. So, and then they'll say, me, and then they'll invite you to do a shake for Alex as well. Okay, so you've said hello, you've introduced your name, you've asked for their name, they told you, you determined, you know, for me, sign S, for you, sign A, everything's cool. Now, the next polite thing to say is nice to meet you. So the sign for nice, you have open palm facing up, place palm facing down on top of that, and just slide. Nice to meet you. Meet looks like two pointer fingers, but it kind of represents two people, and they come together to meet. So nice to meet you. And they might say nice to meet you as well. And then you want to ask, how are you? Because it's polite. So for how are you, it's not, every sign so far has been one sign per word in the phrase, like nice to meet you. Instead, how are you is one fluid motion. You're going to take the middle knuckles of your hands and kind of put them together like this, and then you'll just turn and open your hands like that. How are you? And that's the whole sign. How are you? And then they will reply with either good or bad. These two signs are very similar. There is one small difference in the actual sign itself and one large difference in the facial expression. So for good, you're going to have palm up out in front of you and one hand up towards your face, and you just place that hand down on top of the extended hand with both palms up. And you want your face to show very pleasant. So good. Or if you're not speaking, good with a smile. For bad, you still have this palm out in front of you, but when you bring this hand down, you're going to flip it and do palm down. I've seen bad done two ways, and I'll show you both ways. Also, you want to make sure that you have unpleasantness shown on your face. So, bad. The other way I've seen bad done, and I don't know if this shows the extremes of bad, like one is bad and one is pretty bad. So we just did bad, which might be bad, but another way that I've seen done is bad, and it's actually a slap on the hand. So I don't know, maybe that means like I'm really doing bad today, or if it's just another way to do the same, to say the same thing. So you'll say, how are you? And they'll say either good or bad. And they'll ask, how are you? And you'll respond in the same manner. You've had your conversation, and now you got to get going with whatever it is you're going to do, so you're going to say goodbye. Goodbye is very simple. You put your hand up in the same kind of area that you did for hello, and you just wave goodbye or goodbye. So our entire conversation was, hello, my name, S-T-E-P-H. Your name is, and they'll tell you their name, and you say, for me, S, for you, A, and they'll say, okay. And you say, it's nice to meet you. And they'll say, it's nice to meet you. And you'll say, how are you? And they may say, I'm good. How are you? And you'll say, I'm good. Or, I'm bad. And you have your conversation, and then you'll say, okay, bye. And that's your whole greetings and pleasantries video for now. So now you know how to have a basic beginning conversation, introduce yourself, ask how someone is, all that good stuff. So next step, I believe, is manners on this page. So practice this stuff, maybe have a conversation with yourself or have a conversation with someone else. Maybe they use the words and you sign at them or whatever, what have you, and then I'll see you in the next video.